So now over to all of the guys here are my favorite people. Somebody who's close to me, who sends me all of this healing and love and positivity, and has come into my life like light. Reverend Dr. Wai-Ching Lee, over to you.
Oh, a pleasure, Dr. Kat. Thank you. This is a wonderful segue to be between Omar and Dr. Becker as well, isn't it? I mean, Dr. Becker is speaking about the technology, the hard technology of frequency medicine, and Omar about the spiritual aspects, and also to thank Dr. Manuel for bringing in the importance of energy healing in what we're doing with, on a COVID, microbial level, to perhaps a prophetic level, because we know these things, these times have been prophesized and we've been warned already. And yet, we are not really 100% prepared. And how can we make the best of this time to create a more unified medicine, which is what's happening now, how we come together to create a new future. I call it ancient future medicine. And so to bring in all the aspects that we are part of, and it's just a beautiful way of creating a new system. Just like all the other systems are going to fall, we have to create a lattice of light to pick up the ones to weave together the new matrix of reality through our minds, through our spirit, that we have to do that. And we are doing that, those of us here together in convergence. And so I am here to share perhaps the softer side of medicine, and la médecine douce, as the French would call it, the soft medicine, or right now it's called lifestyle medicine. And we are going to just explore a little bit, and perhaps I'm going to bring in a different part of the frequencies aspects of it, and see how we can just help ourselves at home right now, using the innate healing abilities of our body, using the alchemical aspects of our blood and our thoughts and all the aspects that are the 5 elements, and in our own bodies, and how we can heal ourselves. And of course now with support from plant medicine and from technology and all the other aspects, and to really understand ourselves as human beings and evolutionary human beings, and why we are going through this cocooning. I rather call it a cocooning rather than a lockdown. And because we have the opportunity to die. Yes, it's all part of a life cycle, to die, and also to be rebirthed, to be born again. And what do we choose during that time of this cocooning? And choose fear, or we choose love? And so there are frequencies to this. And so if I might start with my sharing, let's explore a little bit the world of frequency healing. So I am an energy healer, and they call it medical intuitive, or else I also do therapeutic or medical qigong, long distance as well, which is what I did with Dr. Kat. And it works, it really works very well. We have all documented that. And so let me go through this natural therapies and frequency healing, which is what I've been requested to talk about. And let's pay homage to Nikola Tesla now. It seems he's coming through as a being. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And also I want to pay homage to Dr. Richard Gerber, who wrote a most definitive book on vibrational medicine. It was my holy sutra when all these things were happening to me, my awakening, if you will, in 1990 because of a potential cancer. And it took me 6 months to really understand the process of cancer. So this is also what I'm doing, is writing a book called The Consciousness of Cancer, and now maybe The Consciousness of Corona. So why not? And so here we are, we're just looking at the new choices for healing ourselves. And we can see that vibrational medicine is not new, and is definitely integrated into the medical world, hard medicine. X-rays, CAT scans, MRIs, EEGs, EMGs, electrotherapy, EMR scanning, and heart pacemakers, and also this very interesting pulse magnetic stimulation for kidney stones and ultrasound. So the magnets for tendinitis, facial paralysis, optic nerve atrophy. So besides that, the softer side is that we heard from Dr. Tariq the science of homeopathy, and I use his COVID combo, and I feel a really nice shift in my own energy being. And also then there's acupuncture, acupressure, and all the aspects of traditional Chinese medicine and Qigong, which I specialize in. And then there's also beige flower remedies. It's actually English, so it's beige flower remedies, and which I create for my clients as well. And of course there's crystals, and of course crystals are not that mysterious anymore, because we know that it has piezoelectric energy, and it's the basis of a lot of laser therapy, for example, using rubies, and of course in the silicon cards in our telephones. And that's another thing we'll talk about, the radiation aspects of things. So we also want to explore chromotherapy and sound healing, sonic healing, chanting. And this is really interesting when we talk about nitric oxide later, because there's Brahmani yoga and breathing, like pranayama, but it's also linked to Om, the sacred sound of Om. But what's fascinating is that scientists have found that when we hum, and Om, we create more nitric oxide in the nasal passages, which increases the oxygenation in our blood, which is something we really need to do, because COVID or viral infections is also a blood condition. And we'll talk a little bit about the blood condition later. Now, with vibrational medicine, there are so many aspects, and because there are densities of vibration, we see that just even physical gymnastics or running or sports as being vibrational. Everything is Qigong, everything is Qi, everything is energy, right? So we want to look at all the different aspects of Qi and energy and how we can raise our vibration to this. I've mentioned these are some of the ways that we can do. And I'm now going to refer to David Hawkins and Dr. Harshal and what they have come forth in their research. The COVID virus has a vibration of 5.5 hertz and dies at 25.5. Now, what does that mean? Now, different scientists have different ways of calibrating the frequencies. So it's really interesting in the field of frequency medicine that how we come together and define some common ground and see what does that mean. For a long time, since my understanding of vibration, I found that you can actually even create vitamin C in vibration into our body. So let's explore a little bit. Now, with negative disease frequency, pain is 0.1 to 2, fear 0.2 to 2.2, irritation 9 to 6.8, noise 0.6.2.2. Those of us who are very, very sensitive to noise. Pride is 0.8 hertz. Even superiority, yes, the ego, 1.9 hertz. So now, a higher vibration, on the other hand, is the outcome of the following. Generosity is 95, gratitude is 150, compassion 150, frequency of love and compassion for all beings is 150 and above, and unconditional universal love from 205 hertz. Now, the vibration of prayer, good intention, just having the good intentions for people, can go from 120 to 350 hertz. Now, the Heart Math Institute has already calibrated how when we send out this energy, sent through the heart especially. And Dr. Carlos Orozco is another person who's done a lot of research on this, and as well as Dr. Leonard Lasker, who wrote the book Hollow Energetics, that when we intend and sincerely intend, there's actually healing. And of course, there's Dr. Larry Dorsey, who wrote the prayer of the healing of prayers. That's right. And so let's get a little bit more clear about energy healing and explore the subtle and dense anatomies of a human. And this is a bioenergetic model of our multidimensional self. And this is thanks to this wonderful artist, Alex Gray. Just thank him for this. And we have the human physical substrate. It's a matrix. And all this, all of us are aware of, especially the medical doctors. But now let's look at more of the other aspects of our systems, all the nervous system, the lymphatic system. So here we are, the energetic schematic of ourselves. So here we have the Tantian and Meridian system. So the three treasures, we call it, the Sanbao, the upper, the middle, the heart, and then the lower, the navel area of the centers. And it somewhat corresponds with the chakric system and the nadi systems. The chakra systems, besides 7, there are actually 12, and as well as the Tantian, this goes beyond our bodies. But we also go beyond our bodies, our physical bodies, in our auric field or organ field, and also through the fascia. So here we look at this this diagram, how we might look actually to an energy healer. Now, further on with that is actually what we also look when we start to dissolve our ego. And let's say in sleep, when we move through the sutratma, the silk thread, through the center line, we call it the center line, and then leaving to connect with the divine or our soul selves, whatever we want to call it. And this is what happens when we sleep or we go into a coma or faint, is that we start to leave the body and we actually start to look how we look like, which is this, as pure light and pure energy. So this is how we look like energetically. It's a crisscross interweaving of spirals and the toroidal field, and it's a beautiful, beautiful tapestry, are we not? And so beyond our physical bodies and colors, that's who we are. And so let's look at the traditional Chinese medicine symbol of yin yang. Yin yang is actually the schematic of the dualities and polarities, which is what we're going through now. We're going through a lot of conflict. And how do we come to this healing? It's through the center line, as I mentioned earlier. If you look at the S curves and very much like the sine curve, you'll see that if you join one yin-yang symbol on top of the other, it actually becomes a straight line. And that becomes where we come to the center and when we can be neutral. And this is where the healing occurs as much as we can. The chaos around us right now, right? And then if we can just come, we can have polarities, polarized opinions, and we can have judgments. But if we can come back day by day, come back to our center in the heart, especially in our minds, the divine mind especially, and then coming through right to our body, to embodiment, then we can heal. So this, going back to a modern aspect, is actually called an energy vortex. So our DNA spin, and we have energy vortices, as we've seen, all throughout the body. And if we are living in fear, we contract, and more things happen to us. We get more into pain. So this is called the pain body. We learned through pain, as we are learning now, the pain of humanity. We're going through a pain of birthing new systems, including the medical healthcare system. But love, if we can remember, the frequency of love at 432 hertz, which is this, also in sound healing, if we learn how to just keep expanding, then we also expand our auric field, but it does something to our cellular subatomic reality. It actually creates more ATP, it creates more there's all these hormones and that can be released into our cells, and light, and how we can heal ourselves through this more esoteric way of healing, right, all the way through to physical healing. So with this is Dr. John Rogerson, and he has this technology that would read energies through the body, and any healer would come into the field and who is supposedly a real healer will have a white flash. And here we are. So thankfully it showed up. And so basically we want to say in the modern way, we are biohacking the human technology with the immune system. And we can work at the remediation and restoration of the highest function. And so that's why Qigong and yoga, it's been cited for miracle healings on a cellular level for cancer and various physical conditions, right? So we want to use the power of breath, intention, movement, transmutation, and cellular intelligence and regeneration. And this is the strategy that's more from ancient point of view. Now, this is not to say that the virus is not existing in our microbiome. Yes, because we are the virus. We exist in our microbiome. And whenever our gut health is off, we tend to have more colds and flus and are more susceptible to an invasion, right? And to be infected. So let's take care of our internal landscape. And Dr. Zach Bush is incredible in offering the whole spectrum here to the earth. So we have to heal the earth as much as ourselves. And our entire biological system, the brain and the earth itself, works on the same frequencies. So 7.83 hertz, the Schumann's resonance. So going out, as Dr. Manuel said, earthing, rooting, putting your bare feet on the ground as well, and taking the fresh air and taking in the negative ions, and really going into the sunlight, very different from taking vitamin D, and opening up the energy centers. Yes, consciously opening that up, gazing into the sun, and really drawing it into the energy body. Now, there are all these healing frequencies. You can just look, 174 hertz alleviates pain, 285 hertz heals tissues, 396 hertz releases fear and guilt, 417 hertz facilitates change, 432 hertz the miracle tone of nature, which you just heard, and 528 hertz repairs DNA. 639 hertz heals relationships, and 741 hertz awakens intuition. And then with us, 963, you connect with light and spirit. And then this is our soul tribe. I suppose we are resonating more at 852 right now because we are attracting our soul tribe. So that's fun anyway, right? I mean, I have no idea. I'm not the scientist. They are the ones who calibrated this. I'm just fascinated. We don't need these numbers to tell us how we feel, right? But it's also interesting in terms of research. Now, what's also interesting is that essential oils has been offered as a modality for viral infection. Indeed, it's antibacterial, it's antiviral, but there are many, many grades of therapeutic essential oils. It also has to touch a certain frequency. And this brand is an excellent one, which I use, and because it's therapeutic grade. And for example, it's been already, let's say it's been calibrated, and also with GCMS, gas, I don't even say it, but and gas spectrometry. So I don't even say it, the whole thing. Anyway, so look at rose. Rose is 320 hertz. I mean, how beautiful is that? And what is rose connected to? The heart. And the heart is the main center that we activate. Healers will activate the heart, always the heart. And the thymus is just behind there. And, children who have been sexually abused, or especially children now who are abused, in this, that thymus are actually getting smaller. Our thymus are getting smaller, adults smaller. So don't let this happen to us. Let's expand beyond what is an imposed reality. We can choose our reality while we hold the space for what is going on, the chaos, because we know that it's happening for a reason. It's the purifying times, it's the cleansing times. So also the use of frequency in healing, the 432 hertz, in sound, and so listen to good music, and especially those with solfeggio frequencies. And there's a lot now on subliminal music. So just listen to some really good music, and also just being aware while we're doing that, we can also do our meditation, and our cells will be vibrating. We don't need numbers to tell us what music is. But although music is numbers, and it's the universe in numbers and tones and nuances and timbre. So also, speaking of that, when we talk about the sacred geometry, that we are parts, all of us are sacred geometry. And that if we realize that, then we can work on the sacred geometry and the inner alchemy of who we are as soul beings, as energy beings, that we have infinite access to energy. We do, if we know how to do it. And so we're going to talk about some techniques. Okay, so the results that this has actually an overnight disappearance of a golf ball sized tuberance on the shoulder, and this is Bharat Chopra, the nephew of Deepak Chopra. And so I put my hand there and it was gone overnight, right? So it can happen. Now, especially at this time, grieving is really the resonance, of this time. So we've helped a lot of people to grieve and to actually suffering through their own death and through the deaths and loss of many of their families and friends. So we want to see how we can use this qigong or yoga or just consciousness, right, and vibrational medicine to help with infections. So we want to look at the results on a physical, emotional, resonance level, environmental space clearing at the same time, because there's a lot of energy that gets thrown off into your space. So doctors, that is what I'm training doctors to do, is to clear their clinics and the hospitals, because the energy is embedded in there. So we want to look at, when we talk about long distance healing, we are all capable of doing that now. If we can just take a deep breath and send healing to whoever we wish and to all humanity, to all people suffering, then it's already happening, because we are actually tuning into what is known as the concept of quantum entanglement and resonance theory. This is in the lingo of quantum physics. Yes. Now let's go to blood health. In any of the ancient cultures, blood health is key, and it's not different from traditional Chinese medicine. And we have seen from Dr. Botha a very excellent work of what happens before a jab and after a jab. And also, I'm going to show you what happens before and after using some of these new technologies that I have here. I'm using these, and it's absolutely amazing. So we'll look at the dark field microscopy, or the live blood analysis, and we can just look at how it is. So I know you're very familiar with all this, so I'll just move along and how it can really help. Also blood clots. We're using a lot of these technologies to help with that. A lot of my clients, the women, have been menstruating huge clots of blood, and apart from being forgetful and also, depressed and tearful, so all that, and we are just using these. Now, what I've just shown you is the earthing card, and this is 7.83 hertz together with frequencies. It's made by this company. I'm not touting this company, but it has 5 USA patents, and it is effective. One of the women used this and put it in her navel area, and she was able to go to work. She was down for 2 weeks in bed, and she was able to, and her spirits lifted. So this is also very important, because the radiation that's from 4G and 5G, that's been mentioned a few times, that it also creates the rouleau to stack up and creates this sludginess in the blood. So what happens when we have sludgy blood? When we eat too much pizza or dessert, we're pretty sludgy. And so that's because of the blood health, right? The quality of the blood. We want it to flow. And by drinking water, as Dr. Kat was saying, we have to hydrate. But now, what kind of hydration? I'll talk about structured water in a while. So, and this is showing the radiation. We know all those effects and how it radiates. Radiation will affect the brain, and not only the brain, but the entire system. So when I use applied kinesiology, we can show how just touching the phone can just bring down the entire system. And really, what's more well, it can't be more important, but hormonal balancing that affects everything. So, and this is a documentary I recommend, a 5G Apocalypse, the extinction event by Sasha Stone. And also I've talked about the structured water and why that's important. When we use these technologies, there are lots of technologies out there, I'm not saying just one, just explore, research, and we can work together on this. And this is made with crystals as well. And what's powerful about structured water is that the molecules become smaller, they're smaller dynes, so they're more bioavailable into the body, they're more easily uptaken into the body. And for example, what's also important is the detoxification. So many people go on fast and say drink water, but they're just drinking tap water or mineral water. But it has to be even more purified and structured. And so it is very important. I've worked with Dr. Masaru Emoto, and I just want to pay homage to him for bringing this beautiful representation out into the world. And now I will show you what happens when we use some of this nature's frequencies. Very immediate. And it's pretty amazing. All we have to do is wave it over the glass or put it under or run through it, right? And also through this holographic...
Explain what we're looking at now.
Well, first of all, this is normal.
This is normal.
This is how it should look.
That section, possibly?
Well, it could have been, but yeah.
Let's just say this is
Let's
the
go
normal
over here.
blood.
Now let's have some fun
Okay.
and do a pain chip.
Ready?
No.
Cool.
Because it is possible. Remember I told you earlier that we should wait about 3 minutes, and I didn't.
That's all right. So all you're doing now is taking the plane chip and putting
Put
it
it on that.
right on that. Hold it. And now here's the blood.
There it goes.
Please explain what just happened.
Well, they separated.
And what does that mean?
Well, actually, there's an increase in blood flow. And if this were internal, then his pain would be going down.
This is really moving.
Yeah.
This is,
And all you did was put the pain chip on the
Exactly.
slide next to the
Exactly.
blood. Is this a good thing?
Yep.
And can you just tell us one more time why this is a good thing?
Because more blood flow, more oxygen, less pain. It's really that simple.
Excellent. Can you just look at me for 1 second? Now you just looked at the blood just by adding the pain chip, and what did you just say?
I just said increased blood flow, more oxygen to the body, less pain.
And then you just said one more thing also.
Did I say
You did say
pretty unique?
pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing, that's what I said.
Okay, so two things here: detoxification with structured water. Okay, if we can do that now, it doesn't mean you have to go out and buy a product, and that's not what I'm touting. You can actually structure water with our own intention into the water, but it takes about 7 minutes. It's, scientifically, that's what they've done in the research for a common person. And if you're a Qigong master or a yogi, you can do it probably in a very short time, a few minutes. I've seen that, and I can do that too. But let's look at all the different technologies that are right here, right now, for us to be used. And so we also want to use these for the water treatments. The heat treatments is also very key for us, because someone's mentioned, that's right, infrared saunas, right, Dr. Kat, and the saunas. So infrared is definitely superior because it works from internal out, and the virus dies at high temperatures. So if we're at home, this is what I've been advising people in home remedies: hot baths, hot showers, even contra drinking hot water with all the infusions of the inflammatory, anti-inflammatory spices and herbs, right, such as cinnamon, cloves, cardamom, citrus peel, makes a really nice chai. And also, which I suggested to Dr. Kat, and also the pain aspect also is that the hot and cold. It actually creates a balance in our energy systems when we do that. and also ozone, oxygen therapies, hyperbaric, and the hydrothermal therapies also to keep warm during this time, and of course sunlight. And now let's talk about the discovery of nitric oxide's function. It's most important in cardiovascular medicine. Now we know all these problems with the myocarditis, and so let me introduce to you the same, and this was what's exciting for me, was when I found this company, was this little this patches with nitric oxide.
Nitric oxide is naturally made in our bodies. A Nobel Prize was awarded for the discovery that nitric oxide plays a significant role in the cardiovascular system. This discovery revealed nitric oxide as a vasodilator, helping to reduce blood pressure and increase oxygen in the blood. Produced by the lining of the blood vessels, known as the endothelium, nitric oxide acts as a messenger molecule, telling blood vessels to widen or dilate, and contract or relax, like an elastic band. With enough nitric oxide, blood vessels can relax and widen, allowing blood to flow from and to the heart. As we age, we produce less nitric oxide. This can cause the cardiovascular system to become less elastic, which can reduce the flow of oxygenated blood to vital organs. This is the reason it's important to have an active lifestyle and a diet that's rich in nitrates, which bioconvert to nitric oxide and may help maintain normal blood pressure levels and a healthy cardiovascular system.
Okay, so why it's important now, as we know, is for blood health and for heart health. And you find that there's a lot of research now, and I like to actually get in touch with Dr. Ermine van Dijken, a surgeon, who's been doing a lot of research with nitric oxide, and including the Brahmari Pranayama I spoke about, which is the sound healing, the Om, and it's 130 frequency. And so this company has already come out with this product, which as an energy healer, when I put it on, I felt somatically, soma is the intelligence of the body, that I wanted to take a deep breath. And I went like, oh my goodness, this works. So this is how we ascertain energies, right? People who like working with crystals and food and energy healing, we know what we're talking about. So it was pretty amazing, and I've given it to so many people with COVID, and they've been better, and besides also doing breathing exercises, right? Now in food, nitric oxide is available in beets and greens and humming, and also a nasal spray has been developed with nitric oxide, and I believe there's also oral nitric oxide. Now what's interesting is that we are putting it on the K27 point, kidney 27, which is the convergence of the kidney point. When kidneys, right, with adrenal glands releases adrenaline, and also then there's cortisol. So it reduces depression and stress in our bodies when we start using these energy products. So I'm saying, as an energy healer, I'm really grateful for these available that I can tell my clients about. Now also at the same time, we can also just work with the acupressure, the two fingers, and activate all these points like the CV17, and this is called the Sea of Tranquility, and working in a spiral fashion, or the figure 8 to go along with the aspects of sacred geometry. And these really work in terms of TCM, and it's been thousands of years of research and practice. So this is a tip, is the massage point CV17, and also technically also just bringing in energy into your heart. Also at the same time forgiving and loving and releasing any tension or stress or emotional holding. Now we've also found that this is like breathing 8 counts in, holding for 8 counts, it builds up a charge, and this really helps to purify the lungs. So if a COVID patient cannot breathe more than 8, usually past 10, 8 or 10, we don't really have that problem with the lungs. So the basic counts is 8 and 8, right? And advanced, if we can do 8 counts in, hold for 8 counts, and then circulate it down and hold it for 8 counts, and up and circulate and breathe out for 8. So these are the simple techniques, and these are what we call biohacking techniques, or natural therapies, natural healing techniques that we need practice. And during that time, we can use affirmations like I release the chi strands connection, I release anger, pain, sadness, grief within myself from in utero, familial, ancestral lineage. Restore and regenerate a new beingness, I forgive, and resolve all fears of illness, death, and suffering, especially now, because it can happen at any time to any one of us. So we have to come to terms to our mortality and our immortality. So back to the detoxification is that we can use charcoal, activated charcoal, bentonite clay, iolite, fulvic acid, zeolite. There's something called C60, which I heard about, and I'm going to research that perhaps for the next time. And chlorophyll, chlorella. Now, pine needle tea has been suggested, and the research has found that chlorella has a very similar compounds that would be really good if you can't get pine needles, especially in the equatorial states. And of course, the baths with Epsom salts, rock, and seawater, which I've been doing, and of course, drinking seawater from not the seawater itself, because it's kind of polluted in most places, and we just use the sea salt, and we're drinking that and using structured water again. And please, if we're juicing, to detox organic vegetables, please, organically grown. Now, the fulvic acid is quite interesting because it comes from the earth, and I found that ivermectin really interesting because that comes from the earth too. And by taking some fulvic acid, it contains the trace minerals, 70% is alkalizing, and it's protective from radiation as well. And the fulvic acid has humic acids, and usually black in color, but now what is being developed is white, so it's colorless. And that's being developed. It's used for Fukushima already, by the way. So there's some information about fulvic acid, how it moves into cells and it goes through the blood-brain barrier, similar to essential oils. So, for example, brain tumors that have been developed actually respond really well to, say, frankincense, which has a high frequency in cis-terpenes as well, and polyphenols. And brain tumors actually shrink with the use of frankincense because it goes through the blood-brain barrier. So anyway, back to fulvic acid, is that it bonds to nutrients, carrying up to 60 times its weight in nutrition, also bonds to waste, 60 times its weight in toxins and heavy metals. And now that we have more graphene oxide in our bodies, all the more reason to really use all these God-given medicine that we have. And free radicals are toxic. You can read about that. And with the free radicals, one molecule of fulvic acid can donate 14 terabillion electrons. And so it has a unique ability to react with both negative and positively charged unpaired electrons, rendering free radicals harmless. Okay, so now there are also mouthwashes, and we found that hydrogen peroxide, colloidal silver, and hot water herbal infusions are actually more efficient than salt. And of course, using diluted essential oils. Now, I'd like to talk about applied kinesiology. It's very important to ascertain what is really best for us. And I'm also surprised that we are not using technologies to ascertain which of the inoculations suit people the better. And of course, we know that PG, PEG, and those of us who use cosmetics and read labels, we know that that's highly toxic. And that would be actually one of the reasons why people are suffering so much. And, even in cosmetics, when I use applied kinesiology for cancer patients, we find that those products like propylene glycol and PEG in it would just render that person weak when we test with applied kinesiology. Why can't we use that? And that's what I would like to do, is train more people to do that. It's easy and inexpensive, quick to do. So that is very important when we do as dosage as well. And going a bit further with food, that we can also take fermented foods like miso, kimchi, sauerkraut, probiotics, and so on. And more importantly, besides taking the right foods, is eliminating the wrong foods. So the inflammatory foods that we take in, like wheat and dairy, sugar, processed foods, actually creates a landscape, the terrain in our bodies to be, as you know, acidic, and then more prone to viral infections. And also some people are not doing very well with nuts or legumes or bee products. So one should not ever assume that one food is good for all. And I think that we are looking at more personalized medicine, and that's where we are going to go, is to make sure that people have the right amount, dosage, as we spoke about earlier, and the right frequency also. Now, a little bit on the plant and herbal medicine, which Dr. Kat talked about. The Artemisia vulgaris is actually mugwort, and it's really used in women's health, and it is used in moxibustion and the scraping of that's called cupping in Chinese medicine. So that's what's used for that. Now, also with applied kinesiology, we can then tell if spirulina, astaxanthin, chlorella is better for us, or all three, a combination. But right now we're just saying, oh, take this, take 10 tablets of that, take this and take that. But we don't know exactly until we do it with applied kinesiology. And going back to the herbs, is that dandelion greens, as spoken by Dr. Becker, all the bitter vegetables and like bitter gourd and bitter herbs will cleanse the liver. And papaya leaves is used in dengue in Southeast Asia, and we juice it and we drink it. It's really horrible, but it's very effective. And definitely CBD. Oh, by the way, talking about CBD, there's a CBD tag as well, and it really helps animals. Animals don't know the difference. I know that, and the animals with cancer, the doggy stops whining, and then the one with the epileptic fits actually has fewer epileptic fits. You see, it works. It does work. And it has the frequency, but not the actual product. So it can be sent across the seas and to countries which is not accepting CBD just yet. And so it's pretty amazing. And the uptake is just what the body needs. There's no fear of overdosing of anything. So the spices, and we use the ginger, turmeric, and bulbs and mushrooms. And also the adaptogenic herbs is really key right now. The ginseng, ashwagandha, hawthorn berry is going to come to the fore right now. And I'm just listing instead, like Dr. Kat really gave a good, rundown with each one. Hawthorn berry, because of the traditional use in heart health in Chinese medicine. And of course, then I make my own rosella, and I just jam and tea, and amla, the vitamin C, and ginkgo biloba as suggested by Dr. Chetty. And so intermittent fasting is really important as well, with structured water, organically grown fruits, so that we can clean out our gut, right, and bring back the gut flora back to balance, and the microbiome, so we can think clearer, and also decalcify our pineal gland at the same time. And so we also, during this time of healing for the COVID and or the lockdown, whatever it might be, all the many manifestations of it, is to remember to stimulate our senses in a proper way, like with the scent, and so to activate the limbic brain and activate the good thoughts and feelings, and we will be able to do that. And taste of food, and be more discerning about the kind of foods we eat, quality, let's say, and beautiful foods, and so presenting that in a beautiful way rather than eating something slushy in front of the TV or just chips. So that's important, and call in beauty and art into our lives, and touch, as in massage. Body work is really important. Self-work is called Daoyin, and tapping, the EFT that I think some of you are familiar with here, is actually based on Daoyin. It's a Qigong practice. So that's where it came from. And very important to work through get someone to do the massage and through the ganglia, and putting hot compresses along the spine, maybe with oils. For those who are having any viral infection, of course, in the front of the chest as well. And doing manual lymphatic drainage, MLD, with light pumping action through the underarms, in the groin area, and then also through the sternocleidomastoid. Yeah, it's also important. Opening the heart and really coming to a heart coherence as much as we can, as much as we are upset with people, come to that and understanding that there's a place for everyone during this evolutionary times, and then witnessing and listening to ourselves and to others, especially, and to the higher guidance as well. So I feel that at this time it's a cataclysmic moment to reveal the disease in humanity as evidenced by the breakdown of our emotional and physical bodies, and we must bring together resources and systems of stewardship of our earth and responsibility, and our ability to respond, and also to insist on the governments and existing healthcare systems like what we are doing now to truly protect people from iatrogenesis and adverse effects of treatments, as you know. So it's more vital than ever to go back to basics of our breath, our own body, ability, our minds to transmit this energy into our body. It's called Qigong. And then also to harmonize with everybody, including our maker, a creator, so that we are ready anytime. And we have to learn energy medicine for this reason and use the technologies. And also then extend our caring and lovingness to the earth. It's really time to just clear up the ecology aspects, all the aspects of the whatever, financial contamination, corruption, and all the pollution, the mental pollution that needs to be done in our inner work, the Neigong, and outer work. So we have to return to the bounties of the food and plants and medicines. And these current times is an opportune time for weaving a new matrix of healing, health, and humanistic integrative healthcare system. So the Chinese word for crisis is a synthesis of danger and opportunity. So here we are, and we have our purpose, right? The emotions speak to us, and it's a weaving of a new way of being and using the neuroplasticity of mind and body and soul to overcome this crisis. And so let us bring together our inner and outer warrior training in peaceful activism, in education, and active solutions, which is exactly what we are doing. And then also to recreate our human spirit through all the beautiful things and that we are as human beings.
Thank you so much. That was so amazing. I love the comment that Rob just put there. This should be taught in med school. I totally agree with you, Rob. Wai-Ching, there are so many comments in the chat. If you can just please answer a few there, because we want to move on to our next speaker. Your presentation was amazing, and I'm definitely going to call on you again for our next summit. As you know, I'm a big fan. And thank you so much for everything that you do and for all the love and light that you are putting out there into the world. Because like I said, every single speaker has given us such different aspects, whether it's information, whether it's protocol, whether it's treatment, and every single person has a place in this fight, and you are an integral part. So thank you so much. And we will chat soon on WhatsApp. And you are on our Roundtable Telegram group, right? So if anybody has any questions there, and for anybody else who wants to get into the Roundtable group, just message me. It's at Dr. Nascat. So the first three letters of my name and surname. So it's at Dr. Nascat. Find me on Telegram. I'll add you onto our Roundtable Telegram group.